so now that you've listened to that, the second one, I wanted to kind of explain the setting and environment and everything about going on. It's very similar to Turn of the Screw, where it's this big, rich house filled with rich, spoiled children. And it's got this creepy vibe, and there's this person that comes in and she thinks, well, what's going on here? There's something going on, it's not quite right. But as she goes off to school, it becomes more caring. And the people around her begin to accept her as one of them. I think I'm doing pretty well in the course. I am keeping up pretty well with the reading. The words really aren't that difficult. Turn of the Screw was a little bit confusing, but I think we all had a little bit of trouble with it, so not gonna say too much on that. Jane Eyre, I've really liked it so far. It's only taken me a few hours to read, everything that I needed to read. I really enjoy this course so far. So, alright, there you go. We're gonna call that good, and if there's problems, let me know. Thank you.
I was shut up in a room where there was a ghost till after dark.
Ghost? What? You're a baby after all. You're afraid of ghosts?
Of Mr. Reed's ghost I am. He died in that room and was laid out there. Neither Bessie nor anyone else will go into it at night, if they can help it. And it was cruel to shut me up alone without a candle. So cruel that I think I shall never forget it.
Alright, now after you've listened to that, I'm going to go on to say that Jane was not understood as a child. She was definitely always berated. I like her. I can relate to her a lot because she doesn't seem to want to start trouble. She doesn't really feel like standing up for herself because she doesn't want to cause more problems. I was like that as a child a lot. I remember the one time I stood up for myself with my parents because my sister was not getting in trouble for something that she should have, and I was the one constantly getting blamed for it. I remember the one time that the straw was broken and I snapped. I remember flat out telling them that I did not appreciate the fact they thought I was lying to them, and I remember feeling guilty after about half an hour because I just felt so bad about making them feel bad about what they had done, even if it still wasn't right. And cutting to another clip from Jane, it is going to be another clip, or another quote, from the novel of where she explains how she felt after she stood up for herself. So here we go.
I was left there alone, winner of the field. It was the hardest battle I had fought, and the first victory I had gained. I stood a while on the rug, where Mr. Brocklehurst had stood, and I enjoyed my conqueror's solitude. First, I smiled to myself and felt elate, but this fierce pleasure subsided in me as fast as did the accelerated throb of my pulses. A child cannot quarrel with its elders, as I had done, cannot give its furious feelings uncontrolled play, as I had given mine, without experiencing afterwards the uncontrolled pang of remorse and the chill of reaction.
Okay, hi. So first of all, I want to apologize for that. There's not many places to record in our apartment. Also, in order to make this video fun and upbeat, I tried to come up with some creative ways to answer the questions. And so in order to answer the question of who is Jane Eyre and how she can be described, I wanted to take that to her perspective and let her explain to you who she is and how she would describe herself. As for understanding her, I feel like most children grow up, feeling the need to please adults around them And when they can't do that, they resign themselves to their fate. Here is a little clip of a quote from the book when Jane is talking to Mr. Lloyd after she has had her spell with the ghost. Here we go. Hello. Right now, you may be asking yourself, who is Jane Eyre? Please, allow me to explain. I grew up in a home where I was not loved. From the time I was an infant until I was 10 years old, before I went off to school. I fortunately was able to escape by the time I was 10 years old. I grew up being hated by my aunt that took me in after my parents had died. By way of her husband, who died not long after. My cousins grew up being cruel to me, and often I would be beaten by my cousin John. If you were to ask me who I am, I would say that I am a strong-willed woman. I would say that I do not let things get in my way, in that when something goes against the way I believe it should, I take a step back and resign myself to my fate, in that I will not let it bother me. This comes from growing up in years of abuse where I would leave things as they were so as to not get in more trouble than I was already in. I desire only to bring good to the world. I desire for no child to have to go through what I went through. There was one time that I was locked in the Red Room where my Uncle Reed had died. He was laying there after he passed, and the night that I was locked in that room until after it was dark, I had no candle, no fire. I was alone. I fell into illness after believing I had seen a ghost. And when the doctor came to talk to me about what had happened, he laughed at me. They all laughed at me. I grew up being laughed at and not thought of as a person. I was only thought of as a liar and really, I guess, an object. A couple nights before I was actually able to escape and go off to school, I remember having a fight with my aunt. And as any child does, I felt horrid about it afterward. I felt guilty. I remember feeling so accomplished. I felt so alive and free. But as it always does, when a child stands up for themselves, feelings of guilt and remorse came falling in, and I still feel guilty about it to this day, to be honest. She was a cool woman. That's an understatement. But I have deemed myself as a nice person. I wish to be understood by people around me. I hope that with this video it gives you the chance to understand who I am and how I feel. Thank you.